so much. Of course, in my life, you don't need any introduction, but then, yeah, I think it's safe to say that to the world out there, please, I'm welcoming Harry Welby-Cooke on my so-called couch, and this time the roles are reversed, because normally I'm sitting on the couch and you're having a conversation with me. So I just thought I'll just pay you back, shall I? And so I'm so glad that you made the time to have this conversation with me today. Thank you so much.
Only a pleasure. I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, interesting to be on the receiving end of the questions for a change.
Okay, but that's not an unfamiliar space for you anyway. So everyone, for the next couple of half an hour, a couple of minutes, I'd like to chat to Harry. Okay, Harry is a coach, he's a speaker, he's an entrepreneur, and just plainly an amazing person. And I thought to use this opportunity to just shed some light on Harry the person, because I know behind every successful organization, there's always some sort of dynamo person making it all happen. And Harry, that is who you are for me. You're the dynamo that drives ActionCOACH South Africa with Peter, and you guys have done a sterling job. But so let's start there, shall we? Prior to ActionCOACH, successful management journey with Standard Bank. But I'm more interested in terms of now almost 16 years ago. Can you believe it? I don't know if that feels like a lifetime for you or short. I don't know. But 16 years ago, you saw the opportunity and decided to take on this, shall we say, challenge, but also an interesting journey with ActionCOACH South Africa. Do you want to just enlighten us in terms of why this opportunity and what about ActionCOACH South Africa or ActionCOACH, the opportunity stood out for you and made you want to do this?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, frightening. May this year will be 16 years, and in some respects it feels like yesterday, in others it feels like it's 160 years. So day, I think. But yeah, I think life always makes sense when you look in the rearview mirror and you look back at the journey. It doesn't always make sense when we're in it and looking forward, but when you get there and you look back, it makes sense. And I think the seed for this was planted way before. So I left school and started working straight away. So I worked in banking, I worked for one of the big 4 commercial groups and worked my way up. And a big portion of my time in the almost 12 years that I was there was lending people money. Good people, passionate people, hardworking people, people that put together the most fantastic business plans. And none of them ever worked out 100% according to plan. None of them. And because I was involved in financing businesses, I knew every new development that was going up. I had business plans and financials for most franchises, most businesses. And my wife, Belinda, she always used to say there's 2 rules, because in banking we used to move around a lot. She said, I don't move your papers and I don't move your wine. So every time we moved, she would have lug all this paperwork around with me. And I always had that yearning, like a lot of people do, to go, I want to do something for myself. And that never came. And in June of 2006, I resigned from the bank and wanted to go out on my own. And I started my own management consulting business with a view to saying, there's information available in the business. Surely people should be using the information rather than a good thumbsuck. And that's what I did. And as most corporate refugees running away, we become consultants. But the danger of consulting is I can come in and give you all the answers to all your problems in life. You're not going to do anything about it because it's not your solution. You haven't got the time. You don't understand the context. It's not your priority. And I thought, no, there must be a better way. And I'm still looking at maybe it's coaching. Maybe what can there be to make businesses more sustainable, more profitable, and more successful. And ActionCOACH at that stage, a global organization, was looking to come into South Africa. And they put a tiny little advert. It was probably double the size of a business card in the inside front page of the Business Times, of the Sunday Times newspaper. I'd looked at that piece of newspaper 10, 12 years in a row, every single Sunday. And the advert said, are you passionate about business and helping others? Long story short, negotiated, brought the business to South Africa together with a business partner, Peter Scholes. And 16 years later, I think that's still the core of what we do. And every one of us that do this, we're passionate about business and helping others. The more you bring those two together, the more everybody wins. And that's what we get to do every day.
Yeah, and I think, you know, like with any new venture, there might have been that odd moment where you thought, oh my gosh, what were we thinking? So to just take you back to those very early days, what now, almost 16 years ago, coaching was surely not a familiar concept in maybe in the rest of the world, but certainly not here. For myself, I only got to know about the concept of coaching about 8 years ago. So surely that in itself might have been a challenge. Do you think? What were some of those early challenges you guys were facing?
Well, I like the way you're positive enough to say the odd challenge. There was lots. And I think one was the fact that was a reality. Coaching had zero awareness in the market that we operate in, the entrepreneurial business owner space. I think there was a little bit of awareness for executive coaching, and even then it was really the top of the top executives and CEOs that had that. Nobody else did. Today, obviously a little bit more. And life coaching was kind of starting to emerge, but even if you'd sat people down and said, what does a life coach do? What does an executive coach do? They would have said, I don't know. And I think 16 years later, it's not that different. We've evolved a lot. I think we've impacted thousands of businesses over the time. But today, people have an awareness for the word business coach, at least. 16 years they didn't. But if you ask anybody, what does a business coach do? They'll probably say, I've got no idea. So that was a major challenge up front. I think the other challenge was the perception in South Africa. I don't think that changed in 16 years. The perception was people don't like paying for services. They don't like asking for help. And South Africans are egotistical, do-it-yourself kind of people. They're never going to pay for somebody to give them advice, guide them, help them, coach them, mentor them in their business. Well, 16 years later, we've gone from strength to strength, and the tens of millions of rands that coaches earn every year purely in coaching fees demonstrate that that's not the case. I think so. So those were the two big kind of bigger issues, and then all the other issues that people have were relevant. It was a startup business, cash flow, staff, systems, structure, all the typical things that everybody else faces we had, and that's been going up and down in cycles for all the time.
Yeah, and I mean, a reflection of the reality of so many other business owners out there, right? And I think that's what we always say. In ActionCOACH, we always want to be congruent. So to always be real about the challenges that we are facing, and that's reflected in the businesses and reality of our clients. And so we don't get to dodge the bullet. It's a reality for all of us. So Harry, we've talked about it a lot, and I still want to just have your take on this. What in your mind makes a successful business coach? And certainly, like with any other business, you'll see clients come and go, you'll see staff and team members come and go, but surely throughout the years, there must have been a couple of markers that in your mind, maybe, just maybe, could guarantee the success of a business coach. And what would you say what could that be?
Yeah. I think everybody's always wanting the sweet spot to go, what makes a good entrepreneur, what makes a good business coach? And I think those two are intertwined, because the advantage of our coaches are that they run businesses themselves. So that word you used just now, congruency, is definitely applicable. I think if you take it to business coach though, and say what makes a business coach, it's really difficult to put your finger on one or two things, because every type of personality, every type of education level, we've had coaches that have just had matric, and we've had coaches that have had PhDs. We've had males and females, younger and older, different backgrounds and experiences. But maybe the themes, I think, that definitely we see coming to the top, especially on the successful side, is competitive. I think a lot of business coaches, the good ones, are competitive. Yes, competitive within others, and I think that is a reality. I think the fact that we have a team of people, you do have a benchmarking element in the organization, both locally and globally, and that works, because I could be sitting casually enjoying life and being content, and all of a sudden somebody else jumps up and goes, oh, I go, why are they doing better than me? So that external competition, I think, is one of it. But I think a lot of successful business coaches are internally competitive. And I think that's similar to successful business owners, successful entrepreneurs. They want to be the best version of themselves. So within that, typically they like to learn. They like to develop themselves. They like to grow. They like to learn new things. And to like those things, you have to be inquisitive by nature. I think that's an element that definitely makes for a good coach. I think another element is, this is not just a job. And I know it's very cliche. One can say, oh, it's almost a calling. But I think that the successful coaches have a deep desire to make an impact, to make a difference. Every single one of us have had decades of experience before we even joined this business. So we want to give back, we want to add value, we want to see success, and that drives us during the good and the bad times. So that's an element. And I think the last one that probably is a reality in life is, where there's pressure, there's performance. And whether it's financial pressure, whether it's I'm getting older and I'm running out of years to make a difference pressure, people that are fat and happy and lazy generally don't do amazing things. Not because they don't have to. And I think if there is a little bit of outside pressure, it does help fast track that success. So those are probably the ones that would stand out most for me.
Yeah, and as a coach in your team now for almost 7 years, I can, I just underline and bold everything that you've said. But I do want to come back to something that I think is also important. I think that us coaches now, if you take us as a team, there's always that transparency in the team, right? And I think that's what you refer to in terms of outward pressure. There's always someone else out there that one can benchmark oneself against, and maybe that does keep us honest and that keep us going, and because that's, we talked about it, Harry, that it's such a transparent, there's nowhere to hide. It's such a transparent business. And I think the one thing that I think, would you agree that being a person of integrity also plays a big role? And I think that borders on to the whole congruency, being a person of integrity, because we do take some form of leadership role in this relationship with a client. And so, yeah, nowhere to hide. Would you agree with me on that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think first and foremost, we must understand that high performers need other high performers to get their best performance from.
Absolutely.
Whether you top 10 in the class, you want to be captain of your team, you want to be the principal ballerina, or whatever facet of life, high performers need high performers to get the best out of them. So I think that's built into the system. All those human values, foundational things, you wouldn't be in this business if you didn't have integrity, if you didn't have trustworthiness, if you weren't honest, completely honest. I think those goes without saying, because our business is a very simple one in one respect, but it's a very transparent business. So we work with fellow entrepreneurs and business owners, and whilst they're the nicest people on the planet to work with, they don't suffer fools lightly, and they have a BS monitor that they can smell a mile away.
Absolutely.
So you don't live what you speak. If you don't demonstrate that, if you don't have that congruency, that integrity, if you're not seen as somebody trustworthy and honest, nobody will work with you. It's just you might get away with that kind of stuff in a corporate scenario. You don't get away with it when you're working with business owners and entrepreneurs, because it's their pride and joy. It's not somebody else's money and just a company they work for. It's their little baby. So I think that those go without saying. In here, if you don't have them, and believe you me, if you sneak in by some miracle, the entrepreneurs will spit you out, chew you up and spit you out if they smell that. I think that and we joke about it all the time. You know, I won't say the word I normally use on Facebook Live, but everybody in this business, even the rotten, are nice, wonderful people, salt of the earth type of people. And I think that's critical, because a business owner is entrusting literally their whole life with us. And we take that privilege very seriously. And therefore integrity and everything else you mentioned, 100% valid.
Yeah. And I mean, like you say, it goes without saying, the ability of a coach to build that solid, trusting relationship very early on in that journey with the client also goes without saying. So we've often referred in Action Coach that to the fact that business exists because business solves problems. And I mean, you sit on a chair, so somebody was sitting next to a fire a gazillion years ago and thought, this is not very comfortable. Maybe, I could invent something to make life easier. So business exists, and it's such a nice idea that we are built. It's our oxygen. We're built on solving problems. It's the very nature of business. So in saying that, Harry, what do you think are some of the bigger challenges that businesses needs to solve? What are some of the glaring things that you see businesses playing a big role in? Anything that jumps to mind?
Anything and everything. So anything makes somebody cross, frustrated, impatient, moerig, gatvol, that takes too long, that is too expensive, that doesn't work well enough, where the service is shocking. Every single one of those is an opportunity for business. Because, and a lot of people don't like to hear this, life is not possible if we don't have business aiding that and facilitating that. Clean drinking water is a business. We've noticed through our carbon footprint as humans that we're polluting the air, so even cleaning the air is now a business, so that we've got fresh air free. Communication, education, healthcare, food, everything is a business. So if you ever find yourself in a business where you don't have challenges and problems, then be really worried because you might be out of business soon. You want to look for those challenges and things. And I think that's why people get into business in the first place, is they see an opportunity, they want to serve a need. But then as all humans, we want that to go away. I've been doing this now for 5 years. I've been doing this for 10 years. I wish it was easier. Why is it still so hard? Well, it's supposed to be. And I want to be real. It is supposed to be hard, because if it wasn't, everybody else wouldn't have a business. So if you're in business and you don't have enough challenges, or you're thinking of getting into business, or you're looking at a new department, everywhere where there's a problem, that's where you have opportunity. And the typical ones that we can think of today are things like the climate, energy, better transportation. In our country, housing. How can it be that in a country with so much space, so much resources, we've got so many people living on the street or in the shack, and yet housing is too expensive? You look at really want to go big, you look at the motor vehicle. The combustion engine hasn't changed in more than 100 years. So we're getting better at making a more fuel efficient, a faster engine, but it's still the same engine. You know, most things we evolve, we don't create new. And the most successful people, the wealthiest people, are at the forefront of new, not enhancing and making better what was already there. And that's important to remember.
Yeah, and I think listening to you, Harry, I think, do you think it's true that maybe there's a slight change in how we think about business that needs to happen? And what I mean by that is, if I say, for instance, I like the idea of getting into business myself, and I decide, okay, what could I possibly do? Okay, I can cut hair, so let me open a hair salon. But to keep ourselves from sticking to what works for me now is not necessarily going to be the core of my business 5-10 years going forward. And I think now more than ever, maybe the idea that I need to decide I'm a business owner, but how I do business and what I do as a business could change over time. And do you think there's some merit in that, you know, we tend to hold on to something too long and then change becomes uncomfortable and it's really difficult? So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think good change will change. One thing I guarantee is that your business will change, and 20 years from now, your business won't exist. That I guarantee, if you don't change it. 10 years, I can't see it existing either. 5 years, you might be lucky to scrape through. So, and it's often that it's too late. So we know about the big failures, you know, BlackBerry, Kodak, things like that. But just think practically to things that we know. Where do we get medicine from today? We get it from the grocery store.
Yes.
We go to and pay. We maybe go to Clicks, and that's where we get our medicine. We don't get it from the local pharmacy anymore. Now, that's a specialized skill that you have to get really good marks in. You study your backside off to become a pharmacist, and now you work for ShopRite Checkers. That just shows you how in the space of, I don't know, not even 20 years, something as specialized as pharmacology has become a retail commodity distributed in grocery stores. And that will change to be, at least now, a good old Checkers 6060 is delivering it maybe on a scooter, but that'll change to being delivered at home. And in fact, there's enough technology around where you will swallow something, it will self-diagnose, and the medicine will just be dropped off. So if we actually know what change is already in development and how it's going to ruin our industries, we probably never sleep again. So I think every business owner is busy, every business owner. But what they need to do is force time to think, to read, and to research. Because if you're reading the Harvard Business Review, the Monocle magazine, good old News 24, you're being exposed to different thoughts and things, and thoughts, ideas, changes in the industry, which you need to then take time to sit, blank sheet of paper, about and go, okay, does it affect my business negatively? Is there a positive opportunity? Do I evolve what I've got? Do I add something completely new? Because otherwise, if it comes up and creeps up behind and gives you a snort club, the chance of recovery from that today is small. So you want to be proactively seeing the change coming and not reacting when it's too late.
Yeah, and talking of change, you know, hate it, love it. Our dear old action coach is also right in the midst of undergoing some huge change driven on a global scale. Do you just want to shed the light on what this change is about, Harry, and And well, first of all, what is changing for us in Action Coach? I mean, I know, but I mean, I'd like to make that more public. I mean, second of all, what do you think are the drivers? What's been the drivers of this change in Action Coach that we are finding ourselves to be part of as we speak?
Sure. We've got a few hours, I think, because everything are changing, and it's based on lots of changes that we're trying to be ahead of the curve on. I think let's go back to the first, why the change. The sad reality is, and if you're in business, you can do this exercise with me. Businesses have not one, multiple challenges, maybe different ones every day, but there's multiple things that are not going according to how we would like them to go. They're not always necessarily going badly, but they're not going as well as we would like either. So we've got all these things that are challenges, issues, opportunities, frustrations, whatever. Okay, so as the business owner, what have you typed into Google to help you with that? And many a person tries to fool me by saying, oh, yeah, no, I have typed something. And then I say, what? Yeah, but I had a challenge with my team. Okay, what did you actually go type in? And then they say, well, nothing. And a lady said to me the other day, oh, but I did buy a book, something about dysfunction. So I said, oh, great book, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, Patrick Lencioni, brilliant book. Did you read it? Sort of. And that's the context of where we're coming from. Despite the fact that we have this amazing opportunity to create so much difference for people, a business owner is a passionate, hardworking, positive person that despite their challenges just wakes up earlier tomorrow morning and runs at the brick wall harder. And we will look and Google where we want to go eat tonight, but we won't Google how to fix our business. So we are not creating enough of an impact in the marketplace. It's as simple as that. So we need to find a way to engage more business owners in a positive way to not only impact them and their business. Yes, that's the first benefit. But we all know that there is no future, not just in South Africa, there is no future in the world if we don't employ more people. And the only people that will employ more people in all of the world for the rest of our lives will be entrepreneurs. Because the model is such that it will always do more with less. And the less would be less people year in, year out and stuff like that. So that's been driving the change. I think what's also, we've seen tendencies in the marketplace is people are looking for a space of affiliation, of belonging, of feeling like a member of something. Because let's be honest, business is a very lonely, isolated journey as an entrepreneur. The CEO of the biggest company has got really intelligent senior execs sitting on their exco. They've got non-exec directors that are the best of the best. They've got an external shareholder body. Most business owners own.
Me, myself, and I.
So the shift is going into a couple of different things, I think, and resulting in a lot of change. But the shift is from understanding what it is that we really offer the business owner. Yes, we do business coaching. Yes, we might do a bit of mentoring, a bit of consulting, a bit of training and education. But what is the benefit for the business owner? Well, we've come up with our care model, and I think it really encapsulates so nicely what we do. The C stands for community. The world is community-based. Schools, religions, sporting bodies, and then you've got the poor entrepreneur on their own. So it's creating a community of entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. So that's the C. The A is accountability. And like it or not, as human beings, not just as business owners, if we don't have somebody pushing us, why would I do the extra push-up? Why would I wake up early if it's raining? But if the personal trainer is waiting for me, I will. So the community is fine, but there needs to be accountability. And that accountability is both peer accountability, but also accountability from a professional coach. All sounds great, but could also be a little woo-woo if you don't have the R, which is results. Business is about results, about tangible numbers, about benchmarks and measurables that can show improvement. So the R is for results. And the E, the last part of care, is education. We either don't know what we don't know, or we don't know enough of what we don't know. And therefore, as entrepreneurs, especially in a changing environment, we need to be ensuring education. So the shift is to ensure that we are at the forefront of delivering that. Community, accountability, results, and education. And while some of our products and services will stay the same, we are moving to more from a client-based organization to a membership-based organization. And there'll be a range of different levels that one can have at a membership level, depending on the time and intensity that you have available to invest, and of course the financial obligations. So, a new startup business doesn't need the level 4 membership, but an established one. So that's the shift and the reason why. And I think what that brings about for us is changes of everything. Changes of technology, new websites, possibly a new brand. We're going through very, very extensive global brand audit and investigation, new app, new internal systems, new external systems, therefore new marketing, new everything. And I think as daunting as that is, it's also exciting. And I think that's always the important part. If you've just got fear with no excitement, that's debilitating, that's stressful, and you're going to want to move away from it. But if you've got a bit of fear with it, you're prepared to still move towards the excitement. Often if you've only got excitement and you don't have a bit of fear, then you're probably in a bit of a fantasy land and you're only seeing the upside and not the downside. So I think we're in that position at the moment. We're very excited about the future. We're very clear on why we need to do that. But we have the healthy fear. We have the skepticism. We have the enough of the left brain logic kicking in to go, okay, let's dot the I's, let's cross the T's, let's do this properly, let's do it a step at a time, let's have it as a project. And if you've got both of those in good balance, then the success will flow for sure.
And certainly, it just, listening to you, I'm already sold on the idea. And I mean, every time listening to you, I just get more and more excited. But that's me and you, dare I say, driven, enthusiastic, out there type of people. What about the entrepreneur listening to us and thinking, I don't see myself being part of a herd. I don't see, I've never liked crowds. This is not going to be for me. How do we prove or show? What could we say when someone sits and listens? All good and well, but not for me.
Yeah, I've had that for 16 years and probably longer in other facets of life. First thing is no follow the herd. So entrepreneurs by nature don't follow the herd. And people have said that to me before, but I don't want to be part of the herd. Great, don't be part of the herd, be part of the club. And it's the same, but a very important distinction. I don't like following the herd, but I like to be affiliated with people like me around a club, or a golf club, or a mountain biking club, or a book club, or a classical music club, or whatever the case may be. I like to affiliate with people that are like-minded. Now, herd generally has some like-minded people and a lot of people that just irritate the crap out of me. Let's be honest. So, I know. So, I think that's the first distinction. This is a community of like-minded people, not the herd. But to those that are in business, just as a general perspective, I don't care who you are, you will not reach your full potential on your own. You might reach a level that you're happy with, comfortable with, that gives you some level of content, but your full potential, you will never reach on your own. That you won't have potential of health on your own, of your relationship on your own, of your business on your own, of your finances on your own. You won't have your best haircut ever on your own. Everything in life, we need external input to have the best. I could probably make a handbag but will it be the best? I could probably make a burger, but will it be the best? I could probably, all that kind of stuff. So you will never reach your full potential on your own. And this is what I know about business owners. They need a sounding board. They need somebody to go, you're on the right track or you're not. They need somebody to say, well, I was thinking of this, what do you think? They need to go, listen here, Yanni, Harry, Lindie, Paul, you've been stuffing around for too long and you need to get your ass into gear. Because I think especially even successful business owners, they've become complacent. They're either irritating the staff because it's going so well, or they've got projects that they could take on that they're not. No, as an entrepreneur, you're in a very privileged position to make a massive contribution to society in all sorts of ways, through the product or the service that you deliver, through the quality of work that you provide for people and the privilege of employment, through the more taxes that you will pay and the contribution you'll make to society. That's a privilege. Now, given a privilege of any sort, surely I want to maximize that privilege. And therefore, to maximize my privilege, to maximize my potential, to maximize my opportunity, I have to have somebody outside to help me do that. And that's what an action coach, business coach will do. Not necessarily every coach on the planet, because there's good, bad, and ugly in every industry, but for sure that's our focus. We want you to run a more profitable, more sustainable business. And we know if you do that, the ripple effect is everybody wins. And we're about win-win. So stop your nonsense, get over yourself, and commit to the future that you could always have. That would be the simple answer to anybody.
Yeah, and I just love what you're saying, and again, it's the synergy that and leveraged effect from a collective. I think that's the one thing that shines for me here. I don't think in the changing world, with all the more challenges out there that we are facing, I don't think no one person or entrepreneur or business owner has got all the answers. We just don't. It's become too complex. And so I think that collective intelligence, the fact that, a lot of good can come from a group of like-minded people putting heads together. And I can just see the momentum. I can see the excitement. I can see one attending an event with ActionCOACH, what we will call a membership event, get there and then leave with numerous new ideas or inspiration or things to go and try or implement. So yeah, the collective intelligence is for me the one thing that I think is going to make a difference. And Harry, I think business as a community needs to gain momentum, and we need to be playing a far better and bigger impactful role in society. Politicians just can't, for the will of the world, change and effect change fast enough. So I think there's a huge responsibility on the shoulders of business owners, that added social responsibility that can come from momentum and, the collective gaining momentum and having a stronger voice out there. I think maybe that's also something that we can put on the headline.
Absolutely. I think the only greatness ever achieved has been through business, through discovery that turned into a business, or a business that brought about the discovery. The only benefit the world has ever seen is through business, and therefore that's the opportunity that's there. And I think there's two parts: our global vision and our South African vision. And if I may, I'll just share that quickly, because I think globally our vision is world abundance through business re-education. World abundance.
Yeah,
that's not something one of us grew up with. We grew up in this mindset of scarcity, not enough, for a slice of the... No, nonsense. We need to collectively grow the size of the pie so that there's more than enough abundance for everybody. So that's the first part. But I think when we got to 10 years in South Africa, 2017 already, we came up with a version of that for the African continent. And it's pretty simple. We build it from the top down, but we want it from the bottom up. So it's thriving businesses first and foremost. Thriving businesses. Because not surviving businesses. It's not just enough businesses. It's not for tax purposes, no profit businesses. It's not helping them declining businesses. It's thriving businesses. Because when there's thriving across all levels, it spills over. Thriving businesses impacting economies, not just the national economy, the local economy, the staff, the economy of your customers, the economy of your suppliers, the economy of the charities you then give to, of time and money. So thriving businesses impacting economies so that we can have transformed communities. It is the number one thing that we need in South Africa, transformed communities. But we cannot transform a community if we don't have thriving businesses. If we don't have thriving businesses, we'll never impact the economies, and therefore we will never see transformed communities. So if we want transformed communities, thriving businesses is what's going to get us there. And therefore every single one of us that are in business need to ensure that I thrive first and foremost, but collectively we as a whole also thrive, and that's critical.
And, you know, sitting here, I go, I can't wait. And one of my personal, I don't know if it's a motto, but I do believe leadership is a choice. And we all need to take up that responsibility, start leading ourselves, and, you know, our direct, you know, my household, take leadership there, at the school, churches. You know, it's just the fact that to lead is a choice. And I just think it goes hand in hand with being a business owner. I can't see those two concepts or identities ever divorcing. It's one and the same thing, right?
Yeah, it will never divorce. It's the same thing, yeah. Absolutely.
So I want to. So yeah, I'm excited. I told you I'm lock, stock, and barrel with you. And do I just want to publicly declare, Harry, that I'm so glad you chose me 7 years ago. I think I literally forced myself on you, but I'm so glad for the opportunity to also make this impact with you. Harry, I want to just a couple of minutes left, take on a little bit of a more personal approach, if that's okay with you. So maybe just a couple of fun questions. So we live now, privileged to live on Earth now, but if you had a choice, would you want to live now, or is there any other time in the history of mankind that you would have rather wanted to live, and why?
Wow, it's a good question. I think, yeah, the caveman, you know, simplicity of the caveman might have been great, but I think there was too many challenges with that, so definitely not then. You know, when you look at some of the period dramas, the movies around, you know, the royalty and the pomp and ceremony and stuff like that, you know, I appreciate that era. I think it definitely had its issues and its challenges too. But I think what I liked about that era was there was a real pride in everything we did, whether it was making a knife, serving food, sewing a garment, putting on a production. And so, interestingly enough, if you look at some of the buildings we created hundreds of years ago, they're still standing, and modern day things don't. So yeah, that fascinates me, that era, I think purely because of the quality of what came about. But I think, yeah, if I really had to probably do it as I'm doing it now. I think it's easy to look back and go, oh, maybe this, and maybe in the future when things are different. No, life is to be had in the present. And you know, I haven't had the perfect life, and there's been lots of challenges and stuff, but I've created a life as best I can, and I enjoy life, and I think that's important. And if one's always in that wonderment of something else, you'll never truly be happy or content to enjoy yourself. So no, I think I'll stick with now. Thanks very much.
Okay, all right, it's granted. The wish is granted. Harry, you're a father of 3 beautiful kids, 2 boys and a girl. And a favorite saying of yours that I've heard you say is, as parents, we often think we should give our kids what we didn't have growing up, and you know, maybe we should rather give them what we had and be less, what's the word, upset with giving them what we didn't have. So what are the things that you grew up with that you pass on to your kids in nurturing them from children to adults? What are the things that you regard to be important?
Yeah, I think, sure, parenting's the most rewarding, hardest, most difficult thing you could do. And if they gave you a manual on it before you started, you might not even embark on the journey.
True.
I think there's many I haven't given to the kids, albeit I've given them something else. So that's actually one of my favorite quotes. And it's sadly not my intelligence. It comes from a movie of which I can't remember. I just remember George Clooney was the main actor. And he said, be careful you try so hard to give your children everything you didn't have, and you forget to give them everything you did. And I think that's always in the back of my mind, because as parents, you want better for your children. You want them to have opportunities and even things that you didn't have. But there's a lot of value in what made me who I am, and I need to ensure that that is instilled with clients. Clients, they're my children, they sometimes feel like clients. And
yes, I do.
I think, good old world values. I want my children to be nice. I want them to have manners. I want them to be respectful. I want them to have perspective. And I think the first three, I think, based on other people's feedback, I've got probably right a little bit better. The one that's a struggle for kids today is perspective. As humans, we've lost perspective. We're so worried about our own way of seeing things or our own life that we don't see it from multiple angles. And I'm really trying hard to show that. An example, my daughter got her learners last week, and she's now been driving around and she's riding around because she also has a Vespa, and she comes back moaning about how poorly people drive and how they don't follow the rules.
Oh, wow.
But weren't you the teenage girl moaning and being impatient as a passenger when I'm driving? And she said, yes, Dad, but now I have perspective and I'm seeing it from the other side. And I thought, well, good. I want my kids to see more of that. I think beyond that you can acquire as a human being, I think as a human being, you need to be one that contributes. I think innately we are ones that need to contribute and want to contribute. And that's what I've tried to almost instill in the children and make sure that they want to make a contribution. They want to make a difference, whatever that is for them. They can choose, but don't just always think about yourself, where can you contribute? And those are probably the most important for now.
Yeah, I know your kids, they're amazing, and you guys, you and Belinda have certainly been doing a sterling job, so congrats on that. I think what I'm hearing you saying is just be lekker mense, just be lekker. Enjoy, go full out, but make sure that you're a lekker person and that you contribute and you leave the world a better place. Harry, is there a book that you'd like to write? And if there's a book, what do you think the title will be? Or what could the book be about? I don't know if I'm spoiling your surprise. Maybe there is one you haven't told us yet.
No, so yeah, I think a few people have said to me, but Harry should write a book, and yeah, I'm convinced one day I will. And it might be on a few different topics of what I'll share now, but I just don't feel at this stage, whilst I've got a lot of knowledge that I think other people can benefit from, I don't necessarily think there's something unique and stuff like that. So there's not something pressing that I've set the goal and I want to write a book and stuff like that. One book I will write purely for my children's benefit, because from when they were small, whenever I try and teach them something, I always said, but it's in the parent manual. And they say, where in the parent manual? And then I make up pages and chapters, and I said, no, it's in the parent. And it worked as they got older. They go, oh, Dad, there's no parent manual. And I said, no, there is. It's all sitting in my head. And one day I'll write the parent manual for my own benefit, for fun, to shut up my kids, to show them that it does exist. But also I think there's a lot of simple things that you can do with your kids that I've learned through how my parents parented me, or through other people that I've seen done a job well, or through what I've learned and experienced, that I think can shortcut the quality of parenting. So for fun, I think I'll write the parenting manual one day. And then, maybe I'll write the common sense manual. Because the cliche and the joke, common sense is not so common anymore. Maybe I'll write some common sense stuff down that I use for myself, that I share with other people, that works, but it's not prevalent anymore. And I think any book I write will be brutally honest, in your face, tell it like it is. No, if it only needs to be one paragraph, it won't be 20 pages of waffle. Because if we can make a difference for people and make them better parents, make them better at their finances, make them better at their business, then why not? So one day.
Well, and best as you get it going with that, because I'll buy the first copy, that's for sure. And maybe it can be a first version and then a second and a third, and before you know it, you've got some recurring income. So I like that idea. I've got just two more questions. The first one, and maybe just the first one, at the end of 2023, should we still be blessed, God willing, to be on earth? Harry, what would you regret not prioritizing? What are some of the things that you want to prioritize this year?
Well, I better still be here, because my plan is to live to 125. So I've really set my so I'll get just into the next century, and then I'm happy to go. I think, one thing to prioritize, and I think I was, everybody spoke about their COVID weight and their COVID belly. I think I was the fittest and healthiest I've ever been in 2020, ran over into 2021. And I think I did neglect a little bit of my health last year. So it is already a focus for this year. And I'm the first to preach and profess, health is your number one thing. It's all at the end of the day, that's all you've got. And sadly, myself included, we lost so many people over COVID, and we still don't prioritize health. Is there something wrong with us? Are we stupid? So health is definitely a priority. I think because of the nature of the family, I have a son overseas, I have a daughter in matric, I have a youngster who's going to boarding school. The whole family dynamic has changed, and I think we need to find a new family rhythm and a new individual rhythm and a new spousal rhythm. So I think, that's important. Don't want to neglect that. But at the core of then what needs to support all of that is wealth. And wealth is in a range of different things. Wealth of relationship, wealth of health, wealth of money, wealth of experiences, wealth of learning opportunities. And so there's very much a focus always every year to ensure that that's actively sought. You can't have a good life and not work at it. You can't have lots of experiences and not work at it. You can't have a good relationship and not work at it. And I want to continue to do those, is to work at them. And people have often said to me, but Harry, you're so lucky. And especially when we moved down to the Cape, people said, there's such a lot to do. You're so lucky. I'm going, I don't think we do any more now than we did when we lived in Gauteng. I just like doing things. What's the point of sitting at home, staring at a box, and watching reruns of a series that you've already watched before? Go and experience life, and I will continue to do that on as much opportunities as I can. And my daughter always says, but Dad, why do you always take people with? Because it will either be the kids or the friends or family or something. And I go, because I have the privilege of allowing other people to experience things too. In business, I have the coaching team and the clients, and home I've got the family, and I'll continue to do that as much as I can.
Yeah, I just love your idea of go out there and go and experience life. Why don't you just have a ball? So I love that. So my final question, I hope it's not a somber one, but should you now die at the ripe old age of 225, what was it, or 125, sorry, 125 years old, as you said, written on your tombstone or memorial or whatever, what do you think? What do you think will be written there? Here lies Harry V.
I don't know, and to be honest, it's not something that I think about or that drives me. I can say at my funeral, you know, I've told my wife and told my kids, and they're not so happy with my song choice to play. At the end of the funeral, they must play Bon Jovi's song, Live While You're Alive, Sleep While You're Dead. And I think if that's one day on my tombstone, that people can say, well, he lived while he was alive, and now he's gone on to greener pastures while he's dead, then I'll be happy. Because that I know inspires other people to also live the life. So live while you're alive, sleep when you're dead. I'd be happy with that. Or whatever anybody else feels I've made an impact on. They're welcome to put there what they believe is most valuable for them.
Wow, I love that. And yeah, definitely something to hold on to. And so, Harry, I think I've overstayed my welcome in terms of time, just about. I'd really, really, from the bottom of my heart, like to thank you for your time and the gift of your time this last almost 15 minutes. Thank you so much for being such a generous guest with your time. And thank you so much for just being vulnerable and true, as you always are, calling a spade, and just saying it as it is. I do appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. And we as coaches at ActionCOACH South Africa, I don't say this easily, we are truly, truly, truly blessed to have a leader like you. And yeah, may you prosper, and I wish you the absolute best year ever. Thank you so much. Lots of love, and yeah, thank you so much.
My pleasure, Lindie. And to any business out there, you don't have to go any further than Lindie and the ActionCOACH team. Don't sit there on your own. Lindie's an amazing coach. You've been an absolute asset to this business, as have many others in the team. And we are there to add value. Let us add value. So if you've done that today, Lindie, for you and for anybody listening, I'm happy to do that. But let's do that more. Let's make sure that we have transformed communities so that we've impacted economies, and therefore we know we've created thriving businesses. I wish every single person an absolutely unbelievable year, and let's go make it happen.
Absolutely. We sell in Afrikaans. Hoor. Thank you so much. Thanks, Harry. Bye.
Bye.